So this is what makes it Pilates. If this is your first time, this is very important. Um, so this what makes it Pilates makes it different. My other format says you're likely to do. So feel like you're stretching up through the top of your head, and it's going to get you fairly close to the four curves you need in your spine. So curve in at the neck, curve out top of the back, curve in the low back, curve out the tailbone, and just feel like you're stretching up. Now, the main curve you're interested in is this low back curve in terms of Pilates, because when you've got the low back, when you get your hip in position, you'll have that low back curve. When your hip's in position, your core is going to be in position, and everything you do in Pilates is going to work your core. So to get your hip in position, for most of us, what I'm going to get you to do is grab the back of the trousers and feel like you're going to pull your trousers up. If you know you've got a big curve in your low back, you're going to have to do the opposite actually. You're going to have to drop your tailbone down and just dropping it down, lifting the pubic bone up slightly. So you've still got a curve, but it's softer than your normal curve. But for most of us, what we're going to have to do is grab the back of the trousers. Feel like you're going to pull your trousers up, but you're not actually going to pull them up really. You just go to pull your trousers up. And when you go to do it, you should just feel your hip lift slightly. It gives you the curve. In both cases, in all cases, the muscles hold your bones. So tighten on the glutes, these big muscles here form the shape of your bottom. They cover the whole bone surface of the hip. So just tighten up. So they're going to pull on the hip, hold it in position. Your core is deep. Your core muscles are deep. You can't see your core muscles. If you can see a muscle, if you can see the shape of a muscle, then it's not a core muscle. Your core muscles are underneath the muscles that make the bones move. The core muscles are there to either allow the muscles that are moving the bones, like as in doing this sort of thing. It allows them to move them safely and efficiently because it's being held or stabilized by the core, or it can completely stop the bones moving, and like in a trauma situation, like when you have to brace. Okay, so get your core firing. So a full-on brace would be like 10 holds in your belt. Your belly would be pulled right back towards your spine. But you don't need that for Pilates. So what you need is about 30%. So if a brace is 10, it's 100%, you're going to go to 30. Now if a brace is, you've tightened your belt up 10 holes, you're going to tighten it up like two and a half, 3 holes sort of range. We'll say 3. So find your belly button, bring your fingers below your belly button, pull your belly button back towards your spine. So you've tightened your belt up 3 holes, enough to get into your pair of trousers that are one size too small, or a pair of jeans, or a skirt, or whatever. And then lift your belly button up slightly. So you're trying to tighten your belly button onto your ribs a bit. And it pulls in your pelvic floor, which is the floor of your core. Okay? So you've got your core firing. Because that's pulled in and you don't want to move it, there'll be no deep belly breathing in Pilates. You breathe up into the ribs and you breathe out the sides. It's called lateral thoracic breathing. So your thoracic, your chest area really is, and lateral side. So that's where you're going to breathe up in the side of the ribs. You just touch your fingers together, set them on the bottom of your ribs. If you find that when you're doing that, they're not flat, they're being pushed out or whatever, then just put your hands on the sides of the ribs. So you have an either or there, just whatever suits you best physically. So if you have a strap there, that is a great guide you can use all the way through the class. You just know you're breathing into that strap. It's always going to be there. It's always going to remind you where you're meant to breathe. But if you're doing this one, your hands are on the strap. So if you're doing the other one and you're breathing up into your ribs, we'll walk closer to the camera. If you're breathing up into the ribs, you should find the ribs will lift up and drop down. And when the ribs lift, just rest your hands on your ribs. You're not trying to move your hands. But when you fill the lungs, the ribs will lift, the hands will go with them. And you get a little gap between your fingers. So you have a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you have your hands here on the sides, you're going to breathe into your hands. So you should feel the ribs pushing your hands. Now, remember, it's into the side of the ribs. It's not up into the shoulders. So if you're breathing and you don't see your fingers moving, if you're breathing in and it looks like this, You're lifted, you're breathing up into your shoulders. The ribs aren't lifting and you're not going to move them. So you've got to breathe here. You're not breathing up into the shoulders. They shouldn't be moving. You're breathing up into the ribs, lift the core in. Last one. If you feel dizzy, you stop, but I'm going to stop you in a second anyway. And then relax. Right, shoulders. Last bit. Shoulders, we tend to carry shoulders rounded. We tend to do a lot of activities, whether it's on technology, laptops, laptops, iPads, phones, whatever, or you read the book even. We tend to drop our heads, hold the thing down here and round our shoulders, and it's really, really common. So we tend to round your shoulders quite a bit. If you're working at a desk or you're driving a lot, you may well find it in the same sort of position. So we're going to get your shoulders back and down, and that will allow the muscles at the back there to start working again. They're constantly being stretched in a weak position. So we need to bring them back and down, put them in a much stronger position so they can start to work. The chest, the two chest muscles are quite possibly tight and quite possibly strong. So we need to get those lengthened and stretched so that the muscles run back to do their job. So what you do is you lift the shoulders up, slide them a bit closer together, and slide them down. You're just lifting them up, slide them a bit closer together without squeezing, and then slide them down. And you should be able to see your thumb and your finger when you're looking at the camera, or you're looking at a mirror, or you're looking at a shop window, or wherever you happen to be. So you can see that thumb and that finger, and you will know your shoulders are back and down. If you see this and you can see any of your knuckles, your shoulders have got rounded. But if you bring them back, you'll be able to see your thumb and that finger. A screwy guide. Pilates is meant to be an hour on a Wednesday morning. It's meant to be like all the time. Just check these things. And it'll really work to help with your posture and help you move better, move more efficiently, feel better. So you got a lot of position. Usual things get you moving. So these three things I do, two of them are taken from Pilates, but they're not actual Pilates exercises. And one isn't. But they're great for getting your body ready. It's getting this link between your brain and the muscles so that you're thinking about what you're doing. It's great for getting the idea that you're going to be thinking about your breathing while you're doing the exercise. So this is why you do these three things and why they don't really change very much in this class. You stretch up, put your core in, feel like you've lifted your tail, you've put the trousers up, or you've dropped your hip down, whatever works for you. Tighten on the glutes so you want your hip really solid. This is getting the spine to move. We don't want the hip to move. If your hip can go back, your spine doesn't need to move. So you tighten up so that you think about a wall behind you covered in paint and you don't want to touch it. So you're going to lift your core, tighten on the glutes, tighten the muscles at the bottom, and then tuck your tail, tuck your chin down. Think about holding a tomato and fold your spine over one bone at a time. Arms are limp. And you're going to roll over until you get the base of your spine as close as you can get. If you're sitting, you can go to the edge of the chair and do this. You're folding the spine over. Although if you've got osteoporosis, osteopenia, or anything pressing in your spinal column, if you just roll down slightly and then roll back up, but don't let your back, keep the curve in your back, don't let it change, don't let it flatten out. If you don't do anything like that, if you've no medical reason why you can't safely flatten your back and roll down, then do that. So you're scooping the core in, up, breathing up in the chest, rounding down, lifting the belly button and up. So you're thinking about it, you're breathing out, down. Breathe in, breathe out, come up. It's constant motion. You're trying to get the joints and spine moving. So it's not come down and stop, come back up and stop. It's constantly moving. So once you get to the top, take your breath in and roll the spine down, keeping the spine moving. So nearly there, and then breathe in, breathe out now as you start coming back up. So there's constant motion. And one more. Keeping the hip really steady. So if you're rounding the spine, you're only going to get your hands about halfway down your knee. If you get further than that, there's a good chance you move your hip on it. So try not to. If you're doing this and you're really not sure, if you stand up against the wall so that you're nearly touching the wall and do this, or even put your hip against the wall and do this, then you won't be able to move your hip and it'll give you the feeling that spine rolling down. Now, next one. And I'll do the arm circles next actually. So what you do, this is to get those rounded shoulders. You really have to get those rounded shoulders sort of get your brain to the idea that the muscles are meant to work behind the shoulders and the muscles can actually stretch. So you press your feet, you press your legs together. For me, it's heels. Depends on shape of your legs, really. Could be inner thighs, could be calf, doesn't matter. As long as you're pressing, then you'll make the inner thigh muscles start to work, and you'll feel your glute working as well with your feet turned out. But just be aware of it. Just tighten it where you know it's there. Put your core in. If you keep the bone steady, then the muscles will have to stretch. Your brain likes to cheat. It likes to make life easy. And your brain knows that if you're going to do this and the muscles are tight in the front, it'll avoid stretching them. So it'll make you bend back. As the arms come around, it makes you bend back, and it'll also make you roll your hand in. You're not going to do that. You're going to put the belly button in. You're going to stretch right up. Bring the arms straight back past your ears. Again, if you space and get in front of the chair, you'll be able to do this. But I'll give you an alternative actually. So you'll just turn your thumb back, and that'll force the chest to stretch. If you're in a chair, or if you've got a reason why you can't do this with an impingement in the shoulder or whatever, you can put your hands on your hips. Now, bring your shoulder blades closer together, and then pull the shoulder blades apart. So it's not moving your arms. They will move if you bring your shoulder blades close together, and they will move if you bring them, if you feel like you're sliding the shoulder blades apart. But it's not moving the arms. You can move your arms without ever stretching your chest or moving your shoulder blades. So really think about the shoulder blades coming in and the shoulder blades going apart. So that's an alternative. So I'm just going to do a few more like this. Just stretching out, bring it around, turning the hand, bring it around, lift the core, put the belly button in, lift it up, bring it around. So said it, if you're seated, you have shoulder problems, then do that alternative one. And last one, stretching out, turning the hand, make sure you're stretching. You should find your arms are starting to come back behind you a bit. It gives more stretch in the chest. So, all right, next. So you're going to use balance to challenge your core. Your core muscles, one of their functions is put your stomach in, which you've done. Another function is to keep you upright. So let's see. So what you do, you put your core in and slide your foot forward, and then you can lift. And if you still think I can focus on pulling my core in, you can think about starting to move your leg, just drawing a very small circle. The larger the circle, the more challenge, but there's no point having a really big circle if your hips moving and you're struggling. Keep your arms down by your side, and you're trying to use core, lift core in up, breathing up into the ribs, stretching that out. If you're seated, what you can do is you can slide the foot forward, come towards the edge of the seat away from the back, don't lean in the back of the seat. And you can lift that front foot, and you could also try to do the circle, just focus on pulling your core in. You are more stable because you're on the seat, but you've got to just think about pulling the core in. If you can close your eyes safely without risk of falling from the chair or anything, then you can close your eyes, and that will automatically make it harder to balance. So you've got to use your core more. Always, though, health and safety. Don't do anything you think is going to cause you a problem or a risk. I'm not there to keep you safe. You need to keep yourself safe. You stretch it out, and then bring it down, change over. Again, if you find you have the circle, it just makes it too challenging, then don't do the circle. Just touch your toe on the ground. It's about focusing on pulling the belly button and lift the belly button up. So I'm going to lift up, and you're turning, breathing on the ribs. So I'm going to do a few circles here, but today I'm going to find this is more challenging than I normally find it. So I'm actually going to bring the foot down on the floor and just touch my toe on the ground, really focus on lifting the core in now, because it's going to be much more beneficial for me to do it this way today. So always do what's right for you on the day. Different things affect your balance, by the way, just, if you're not feeling the best, if you got a cold, if you got some sort of virus, if you got a lot of stress, you've had trauma, all those things are going to make your balance less. So, you need to just think a bit more about your balance. Obviously, the reverse is true. If it's your birthday and you really like your birthday and you're feeling really good about life, then you'll find that your balance will improve. And then just bring it back. Okay. Now, so you've done all those. I'm going to bring it down to the mat. So I'm just going to change my camera angle. I'm just going to pull this mat back. That should do it. Yep. So, okay, I'm going to get you to do a single straight leg. Now, it's a modification of a single straight leg. The original exercise, your back was rounded, you were curved up in your legs, your knees, so your legs would be straight. When you do this modification, which is more focused on the core for me, and your head's down and your low back's curved in, then your hamstrings aren't going to let you get your legs straight. So it sounds like a bit of a misnomer, but instead it's a modified version. You've one knee above the hip, you've got the other knee above the hip. If you're in the chair, bring yourself again towards the sort of away from the back of the chair, really. And you can straighten your legs. 90 degrees would be the minimum level, by the way. If you're really going to find it too much with the two legs, you can do it one leg at a time. So you do so many on one leg and then change and then do it on the other leg. If you can bring the two legs up, you can do it at 90 degrees. That's as straight as I'm going to get. So you can do it anywhere between 90 and as straight as you're going to get. I'm going to, for the purposes of the camera, I'm going to drop my ankles down a bit. Press down 3 hours, bring your shoulders back and down. Feel like you're trying to stick the shoulder blades to the floor. And press your forearms into the mat, not your fingers. See they're off the ground there, just wiggling them around. And breathe in. Today, I'm going to the legs not going in opposite directions. So you're no movement in your hip, you're moving in your hip and no movement in your knee. So you're breathing out, bring your leg down to the point before your back's going to move. It's not about getting to the floor. Don't think about that. Breathing in, that leg's on its way up and the other leg's on its way down. So it's almost like a sort of pseudo running action. You're breathing out, first leg on its way down. Breathing in, it's on its way up. And the second leg's on its way down. So you stretch to the top of the head, you're breathing up into the ribs, you're lifting the core in up. Feel those shoulder blades on the floor. So if the shoulder blades suddenly feel like they're not stuck to the floor, you get your ground at your shoulders and just bring them closer together. Pull the shoulder blades down your back, as if you're trying to slide the shoulder blade down away from the shoulder. So you're breathing in, and first leg's on its way up, you're breathing out, first leg's on its way down. Scoop it in. So if you were doing the original exercise with straight legs and you were curved up, just one of two Pilates exercises, you're not going to touch the floor. It's not about trying to touch the floor. It's not about the leg movement. The legs are moving, just it's a challenge. They're acting like a weight to make your core have to work harder, make your brain have to think more about using your core. Last one then each side. And then you can just hug your knees in, rock side to side, just free the back up a bit. You continue to do that, and I'm just going to bring my feet down one at a time, which I'll want you to do in a second. And I'm just going to roll over and push up. So if you do that now, and push yourself back up, okay, I'm going to get you to a diamond press. I'm going to give you an angle here first, and then I will go on to the mat in a sort of more conventional shape. But it's good you can see what my arms are doing. So you've got your arms in this diamond shape. So there are two triangles stuck in the end. And if you were to hover your nose above the mat, your fingertips are below your forehead. And the fingers are touching, or nearly touching. Roll the shoulders down, turn the legs out, press your legs together. So I will get some form of seated alternative in a second. Press your glutes, or sorry, press your legs together if you can. Aim to press your legs together, tighten on the glute. Feet are turned out, big toes apart, heels will be the closest together. Shoulders down, put your core in. So I'll go through the action and then I'll tell you to breathe in. So you're going to bend back, pressing down through both arms. It's called a diamond press. So there's the press. Your arms are in a diamond shape. There's the diamond. When you get as far as you go, you're going to salute, press with one arm, salute with the other. Lift the elbow, just do your salute on. Bring that arm down, float back down again. Roll the spine down, roll the ribs down. So you're going to breathe out, bend it back, breathe in, breathe out. Elbow coming up, salute, breathe in, bring it down. Breathe out, salute, breathe in, bring it down. In that same in-breath, once the arms safely on the ground, roll down, ready to come back up. And you're stretching right out. And you're scooping in. So if you're seated, what I'll get you to do is same thing when you're seated, really. You're going to bend back, and then you're going to bend back, curve your look back in, but you're going to try and bend like you've got something there you have to bend over. And then have your arms up if you can, and push your arm back, bring it forward, push your arm back, bring it forward, and then come back to your start point. So you're going to bend back, back, and then come forward. So if you can't have the arms up there, then put your arms wherever works for you. And you can push back the elbow. So you push back one elbow, push back the other while you're bent back, and then come forward. So I will go back to the conventional one. So you're stretching out, bending back, press your legs together. And then you're going to press through one arm, lift the elbow, just salute, breathe in, bring it down. Lift from the elbow, salute, breathe in, bring it down. Stretching out to the top of the head. Your head doesn't move. You're always trying to lengthen through the neck. You're not trying to look forward at any stage. And I won't probably get you to do that in any exercise. So you're going to lift up. You're scooping in. Lifting belly button in. Bend it back. Pressing hard down through the arms. Breathing out. As you salute, breathe in, come down. Breathe out. As you salute, breathe in, bring it down. Roll the spine. Down and lengthen it out. Lengthen out through the heels. Breathing up into the chest. Doing your salute. This will be my last, your last. Bring it down. And if it's safe for your knees, try to sit back onto your heels like a rest position, like a child's pose in yoga. It's not safe for me. So I'm going to roll over on my back and hung my knees in. So basically doing child's pose the other way around. So whatever you do, make sure you're trying to tuck your tail underneath so you're lengthening through the spine. I use this to stretch back. And I use that child's pose just to stretch my back. I don't know what it's used for. In yoga, I don't really know much about yoga. So I use it to stretch back. So do tuck your tail underneath. Do keep your legs close together. Don't bring your knees apart and drop into the gap. You make your back go round like a tortoise shell. And then bring feet down, give them one at a time. There's a slight chance you can hurt yourself. You can hurt your back bringing two legs down. Roll over on your side, push yourself up with your hands. Again, if that's safe for you to do. If you can do that, it's a safe way to do things. So you're lengthening out to the top of the head. So, down you go. Again, one of the original to Pilates exercise, again, modified. So there's you're in more of a balance in this particular version, particularly because you're going to lift your lower leg, which isn't in the original version. So you stretch right out. You lift the core. I'm not saying it's bad in the original because every original exercise you did was brilliant. And you lift both legs slightly. And then you're going to breathe out as you bring your leg forward to the point before your back arches. And then flex your foot, bend at the ankle, toes coming towards shin. Leg straight, try and bring your leg back behind you, again to the point before your back starts to move, where you start to roll backwards. So you're moving your leg, which is around a quarter of your entire body weight. So you're moving your leg to challenge your core. You're breathing up into the ribs, you're lifting the core up, stretching out all the time. You're scooping in, breathing into the ribs. You're bringing that back, you've lengthened out, stretching out all the time. Scoop the core in. You can change the center of gravity. Sorry, I'm giving a version. For seated, what you could do is again sit towards the front of the seat and then slide your foot along the floor without putting weight through it. Slide it out to the side and slide it back. You're sitting, if you imagine you're sitting in front of the seat and just slide your leg. So you'll be sliding your leg out and back rather than bringing it back and forward. And that again should just get you to focus on the core. Breathing out in the rib, lifting the core in and up. Last one. The last one forward. The last one back. Bring it down. Get a bit of rub and a slap. Get the blood into it. Change the translation. And then just change it over. So what I mean by the seated one is if you're seated and you got your leg out, you can slide your foot away and then slide it back. But you're not putting weight through that foot. So you can just slide it. You can even put a bit of paper underneath if you have a bit of paper handy that you slide. Obviously, it'll work on more on a wooden type of floor or tile floor. So you've stretched out and you lengthen out and lift both legs. Now your foot's relaxed, so it'll look pointed, but you're not trying to point it. Flex, so it's toes to shin, but stretches your calf, stretches your hamstring. And the reason you want to stretch your calf and hamstring is it means when you're bringing your leg back, that action should really be done by the glute. It's a big muscle here, big muscle front shape of your bottom. It should be helped out by the hamstrings. They should be there, to aid that, but not actually do the motion. But a lot of people, the glute isn't really working. So the brain will go to the muscles it knows and likes to use, and hamstrings are quite commonly in that description. Keeping the shoulder blade down. So to make sure your brain isn't overusing your hamstrings, we're just going to switch them off to a large extent by putting them in a weaker position by stretching them. So your glute has to work. Your brain has to use your glute. But you can just tighten up the glute a little bit just so it helps your brain find it. And you're stretching right out. You've lifted your bottom rib. So you might be able to get a bit of paper there, you might not. But so long as you imagine that your spine's going to look straight, if you were looking at yourself on an x-ray, and you don't feel your weight going through your ribs, then you'll be all right. So say your side might be on the floor. Depends on body shape. But so long as you feel that you've lifted your ribs away from the floor and you're not just laying your weight down into the mat, you will be in a much better position for your core to work. And it is a core exercise. You're changing your center of gravity. And this is the last one. Bring it forward and then flexing the foot to bring it back, bring it behind. Again, just change the sensation. Get a bit of blood back in the hip because you've used the hip muscle quite a bit there. And you can just bring these up, push up. And I'm going to get into shoulder bridge. So you can use a band in this one, or you could use a ball. So if you're going to use a ball, if you happen to have one, and it doesn't need to be one of these sort of weirdly dubbed Pilates balls, because Joe Pilates didn't use any balls. Equally, what you can do is you can borrow your kids or grandchild's ball with Mickey Mouse on it or Spider-Man or whatever, and that'll do lovely. All right. So see if you bother or want to buy one, it'll actually do the job. All right. So you put it between your knees. You're going to use a ball. If you're going to use a band, what you do is you put the band down and put it just above your knees. You can see that yellow stripe there, and that's what the band is. I'll just spread it out. You don't need to spread it out, take it out, but I'm spreading it out to make it easier for you to see. Now, the original exercise, this is like a pre-Pilates version of the original. The original exercise, you had to come into an arched back position and you were doing a lot of stretching and work on hip flexors. But I want to use this to actually not work the hip flexors. I wanted to use the glutes because a lot of people find they're disconnected from the glutes. And I want to get them connected again because they're so important to you. So if you use a ball, you'll be using your inner thigh and your adductor muscles, and you're using your big glute. With a band, you'll be primarily using all three of the glutes, so big, middle, and small, maximus, medius, and minimus. Without the band, it'll be focused on the big glute rather than the other muscles. So you're definitely gonna get a lot of benefit whether you've got a band, a ball, or nothing. Again, we don't want the hamstrings overworking in this. So just bring your feet back so your ankle's only slightly in front of your knees. You put your core in and you're ready to go. Say, I use this to say to get strength into the glutes. It's going to work the core. You may have gone to somebody else. You may have gone to me when I first started teaching. And I would have been using it more for flexibility. And I'd be rolling you up and rolling you down. It's nothing wrong with that if you want to get moving in people's spine. I did it with a one-to-one client in here yesterday because she was feeling very stressed and very tight, and it was more benefit to her. But generally, I want to work the core and I want to work the glutes. So I'm going to get you to tighten up the glutes to where you feel them. You're going to lift the core. You've got a curve in your low back leg. You've got a grape in there, and you're not going to squash that grape on the way up. So don't let your back flatten. Press down through your arms because you want to work your arms as well. And you're going to lift straight up until you get as high as you can go, or you got everything in this diagonal line of knees, hips, and shoulders. Tighten your glutes to 100%. So as much as you feel you can, because we want to hold that hip steady as we possibly can, so that when you try to slide a foot out and straighten the leg, and bring it down. You don't need to get your leg fully straight, by the way. So straighten out and bring it down. Now, so that when you do that, the hip stays steady. Now you need to come down. So you need your hip to move. So you stop thinking about the glute. It'll soften enough that you can do that tuck of the tail under, and you can round your back and roll down and squash that grip. And then lift your tailbone up. So you've got a little grip back. You don't want to break it. So you press it down to the arms. You lift straight up. You breathe in at the top, and then you tighten. Breathe out. Straighten one leg, or go as straight as you're going to go to. And then tuck the tail under. Stop thinking about the glutes and the move. And that can move. You roll that. Stretching out to the top of the head. Breathing up in the ribs. Keep the core lifted. So tighten the lift. It's like a hip thrust, basically. And then you're going to straighten, keeping your two knees the same height, straighten. And then tucking the tail under, and you're rolling down. You're constantly moving. So I'm asked on a regular basis the difference between yoga and Pilates. And as I said earlier, I don't really know that much about yoga. It's not my thing. It's not something I'm really interested in. So I don't really know. But what I can say is a lot of forms of yoga, not all, but a lot of forms of yoga hold positions. You never hold a position in Pilates. Something will always be moving. So the leg moves, comes down. The leg moves, it comes down. The spine moves, the hip moves, you roll down. You lift the tailbone up, get the little curve. It's a hip thrust, so you're lifting through the hip. Ready to hold the hip steady so that you're moving at the knee, moving at the hip, tucking the tail and rolling down. So one more. And you're tightening on the glute and you're lifting up. And you straighten out one leg, you're bringing it down, you're straightening out the other leg, bringing it down. And then you're going to tuck the tail under, round down. And then slide feet out, stretch out through your arms. And you can really feel that stretch then. It's a lovely stretch and it's really easy. Sorry, my left arm, I'm slightly too close to that ball. So my left arm is more bent. I've got psoriatic arthritis. I've said it before. I've got calcification in one of the tendons and my shoulder, so I'm not going to get that completely down straight. And you bring your arms back, you can roll over, and you can push back up, and you're going to be seated. And you can use tea towel, or you can use band, or you can not use anything. So you have your band on tight, or just keep it tight. I'll just use this one actually, just for speed. Because you're going to do a close grip. Okay, when you do a close grip, you'll get a bit on the back of the arms here. You get a bit of these muscles here, triceps. So last week I did a wide grip from memory, and it works more between the shoulder blades. Or actually, I might have done the sort of middle grip where your shoulder width, which gets a bit of the back of the arm, a bit of the shoulder. So just wherever your arms are, you will work something slightly different. Which is why you have to be very precise in what you're doing with your arms. So if you touch your thumbs together, and then what you can do is just bring your thumbs down, and you've got your wrists then lower than your elbows, and your elbows are lower than your shoulder. So you just touch your thumbs together, and then just bring them underneath two fists. Make sure you have a strong wrist. You're in a strong wrist position, so not this or this. Just have it in that strong position, and squeeze and pull. When you squeeze, work your forearm. When you pull, you'll feel the shoulders tighten up, so you've got those, so they shouldn't be able to move independently. So when you turn, you're breathing out as you turn. You're breathing in, go through the middle, and you're breathing out to turn. Again, constant motion. But you're squeezing and pulling on the band. If you squeeze too much, if you pull too much in the band, you won't be able to move. So just pull enough that you can feel the muscles engaging, tightening, contracting, whatever you want to think about it for the shoulder. So when you get around as far as you go, you're not trying to bring your arms around any further than that. It's about moving the spine. You're doing a spine rotation. It's called spine twist. But you're not actually twisting your spine, you're rotating it. You're turning through, you're breathing up in the ribs, and you're lifting your core end up, scooping in and up. So you can do this in a chair, you can do it seated. I didn't say that if you've nothing to pull on, you can grab above the wrist, grab above the other wrist and pull. So again, you've got your elbows lower than your shoulder, and you're pulling, and that should, if you're trying to pull your arms apart, but they're not going to come apart, you should feel that in the shoulders. It should stop your shoulders from moving. So you're breathing out to turn. Your head turns with your spine. So if you had a bit of jewelry or watch on, you can look down with your eyes, but not drop your head down and look at whatever that is. If you got a band or a towel, just look at the middle of the band of the towel. And you're scooping it out, breathing up in the ribs. You get that rotation on the spine. So one of the four movements your spine does, another movement it does is bend back, which you did earlier on, and you will do again. Your spine will also bend sideways, and it will also bend forwards. And you will do those shortly. Last one, bring it back to the middle, then relax. So if you're feeling it up here, it's because you were lifting your shoulders, and just make sure you keep the shoulder blades down. So, okay, and we'll carry on. So you're now about to do the side bend. So I'm going to do the exercises that I always put them together now, where there's a standard set, there's what I consider a standard side bend, and there's an exercise I call the Viking side bend. And I'm not going to go into why I called it the Viking side bend on this particular recording. So, but it's my name for the exercise. So what you do, right, whatever version you do, it's going to do four things. It's going to work the back of the arms. It's going to give you mobility in the spine. It's going to work the core, and it's going to work the obliques, which are the muscles at the side that make you bend. The core underneath is going to work as well. You're going to do those four things either way, but the focus is different. If you don't move your legs and keep them down, you will get more flexibility. So if your spine feels really tight, that would be a good option. Because you get more bend, you will also get your arms straighter, which will work more on the back of the arms. You're still going to work your core, you're still going to work your obliques. If you don't, if you do move the legs, then it's going to put more emphasis on the obliques and the core. You'll still straighten your arms to an extent, you'll still work back in the arms, you'll still bend, but not quite as much. So you're still going to get flexibility. So do whatever version's right for you today. The arm that you're going to be resting on is out to the front at about 45 degrees, but it's like it's coming out of your forehead like a unicorn horn. And drop your shoulder down so that your elbow's behind your wrist, because you're going to press through both hands. This is a much cleaner route for the nerves that are running through the wrist. If your elbow's up here, one, your shoulder will be lifted, and two, it's horrible on the nerves that have to then do a right hand turn, basically, and it puts a lot of pressure on the nerves. If you've ever had carpal tunnel, I would advise you don't press on the hand in the front. Now, you stretch out, and again, you're trying to lift your bottom rib so that you get that bit of paper underneath. You can imagine that's wet there and you don't want to press on it. Now, I say, depends on your body shape. If you find that you can feel you've lifted your ribs, but you still feel you're touching, it's okay. Don't worry about it, as long as you feel like your spine's straight. What I don't want is this bent. So I would never do it on your elbow. Okay? You can do this exercise on your elbow anyway, come think of it. So drop down. So side bending, legs still, stretching out, bending, pressing down through the arms, really trying to bend as you come up, and then rolling down, Viking side bend, legs start to float, just float up. You're not trying to lift them really, just let them go with the go. You can see you get less bend, but it changes the angle you're working here. So you have legs now to the top of the head, breathing up, so legs can come up. Or again, I'll just mix it up during this so you can have it that you're not lifting the legs, you get more bend. So if you've been doing something pretty heavy duty, if you've been doing something to make your back feel stiff, gardening springs to mind, housework, vacuuming could do the same thing, then this version of your legs on the ground is going to probably be a really good idea. If your back doesn't feel particularly stiff, then you can do the version with the legs coming up, and that might be a good idea. So just judge it from how your back feels, which one you feel will benefit you the most. And I'll tell that to all my classes. So you don't have, or you may not have, I should really say, you may not have anybody in the room with you, so you have no peer pressure. You don't have to do what the other person does, and you still don't anyway. So it's your back. You do what's right for you and let them do what's right for them. It's somebody in the room with you. And I'll always tell the class the same. If you're there with your mother, your daughter, your father, whatever, your son, or you're there with your mates, don't do what they do. Do what's right for you. So your lines to the top of that, breathing up in the ribs, scooping in and up. That's one that side. So you could, I just mixed it up between the two. So I'm going on the other side. On this side, to be honest, I'm not going to mix it up. I'm going to do the one with the legs on the ground. So you're pressing down through the hands, you've lengthened out, and you're bending, and you keep your hips steady. Don't let your hip roll backwards. Your brain knows that it can avoid using your obliques to an extent and recruit the muscles to the front if it lets your hip roll back. So you might be getting higher, but you're not getting proper bend in the spine, really. So you're lengthening out, breathing up in the ribs, bending, breathing out, breathing in to come down, keeping it moving, stretching right out. Sorry, I should say if you're in a chair, you can sit and turn and bring the hands across your chest and bend to each side. So you'll be doing going from one side to the other. You stretch out, lifting the core in, up, breathing up into the chest. You scooping in and up, lift the core all the time. So just keep that going. All right, if you're in a chair, you can bring your hands across your chest and you can do the bend, stretching up and do the bend. Or you can just overlap slightly and bring your hands behind your head. Do that. So do two more. You press it out through the arm and bend it. Lifting up. So you will be working back to the arms. If you keep the shoulder blades down, you will even work a bit of the lats. So the biggest muscle that attaches to the muscle that attaches to more bone surface than any other muscle in your body. And let them down. Again, bring your knees up, push back up with your hands. And now we'll get you bent forward. So I have changed this. So this is the one that has the big safety message. So you can do this with a band, you can do it without a band. You can actually do it really well with one of these discs or balls, but I'm not going to go there in this class. But if you can, I do it with people in my online classes who have that equipment. But I'm not going to go in this one because I can't see what you're doing. I want to keep you safer. So this is what you do. You can just lay your band down. Detail's not really going to work for this. I don't think it might, I suppose, but I haven't actually tried it in detail, I'll be honest. And if you're not going to use the band, you can just mesh your hands together and you're going to bring your hands behind your head. If you're going to use the band, you lie on the band and no matter what, you're going to slide your feet away. Again, you can do this seated and it'll give you movement down the spine and it will get you to engage the muscles, so you will get some benefit from it. Now, if you have hands, or you have enough band to get your hands about 30 centimeters, a ruler away, drop the elbows back. Or you can drop the elbows back and have your hands behind your head. You're going to press on the back of the head with your hands to make the neck go soft. You're going to put it on the band to make your neck go soft. I like the band better because when you start to roll up, it will guide you so that you will roll your spine. The big safety message is that if you've got bone tendonitis conditions or anything pressing on the spinal column or anything pressing on the nerve to come out of the base of the spinal column, then don't flatten your back under any circumstances because it would be dangerous. So you'll come up to the point I'm at now before my back's moved and then you're going to roll back down again. That point might be different for you, but you just don't want your back to flatten. So pull your core in, come up to the point before your back flattens and then roll down. You're going to let your brain know that this muscle needs to keep working. I can't lose it. I need it maintained. And your brain will keep that muscle for you. If it is safe, and that applies whether you're seated or whether you're on the mat, if it is safe, you can push your back into the ground and round your back and roll up. And as you do that, pelvic tilt, so that you're bringing your pubic bone towards you, like you're almost coming into a ball shape, and then unwind. Don't do the pelvic tilt if you're doing the version where you're coming up and not flattening your back. So if you're in a chair, again, you can do the same thing. You can tuck your tail under and round forward, so long as it's safe for you not to flatten your back. Or you can roll forward just a bit, get a bit of movement in the upper back, get the muscles front tight. So you're rolling up, breathing out. So you're putting the band, but not much, just enough to take weight off the neck. If you put too much, what will actually happen is you'll end up doing this, and it's horrible on the neck because you're pushing your chin into your chest. You can imagine you've got a very soft tomato there and you don't want to squash it. No matter which version you're doing, that applies. You're rolling up, breathing out. So you're getting the spine to move, all the joints in the spine, and you really are. If you get your tail to tuck under, if you see it, you flatten your back, you will move the entire spine, and you will also contract the entire rectus abdominis, the muscle at the front that makes you move your spine. But you're pulling your core in, so you've got the muscles on the spine, the core muscles attached into the spine are making the spine move in a safe and effective manner. And last one. And then bring it down, and you can do a long stretch again. It's easy. Stretch right out, and not go stretch. So you have to stretch right out. And then I'm going to get you to come right around onto your front. And if you're in a chair, you're going to do a bend back like you did earlier, except this time you're not going to you're not pushing your arms back. I want you just to really focus on, you can put your arms across your chest, really focus on trying to bend back, and you're going to breathe the other way around. So you take your band and get rid of it. You don't need it. This is a version of swan dive. So again, one of two Pilates exercises. It is quite different from the original. I'm using this for flexibility, to get flexibility in the upper back. So the breathing's different. When you bent back the first time, you didn't get a lot of bend, but you felt it in your low back. It was for strength. So this time you're going to breathe into bend back rather than breathing out. So thumbs level with the temple, legs together, feet turned out, tighten on the glute. Remember, strong glutes, strong back. You want to know your glutes there, and it feels like it's doing something. And if you're weak glutes, you're likely to have sore back. So when you're doing these, I will never let you roll your feet out because it turns your glute off. So just roll your feet in, heels close together, big toes apart. You've got your thumbs level with the side of your temple, as I said. Your shoulders are down. Until you're pushing your shoulder blades down. Press again through your forearms. If you're bending off the mat, you will know because your weight will go towards your elbows. Your elbows stay on the floor. And then you're rolling the spine down again. You're trying to bend the spine backwards. Lengthening again through the neck. You're not trying to look forward. Your head doesn't move independently. Your head only moves because it's attached to your spine and your spine's moving. So you will be going down and focus on your mat, and again, closing your eyes is a good idea because it'll stop you feeling nauseous. And it really can happen. I know it might sound silly, but I thought it was relatively silly until it happened to me, and I did. Feeling nauseous. So closing your eyes helps. Stretching out, breathing in. Breathing out as you come back down, tightening on those glutes. Really feel the legs. You want to always want to stretch. You're stretching out to the top of the head, stretching out from the heels. You always want to feel like you're stretching the spine. Breathing up in your ribs all the time, pressing down through the forearms, not the hands. Peeling the ribs like you're stuck with Velcro. Breathing in. Now your brain will only take so far with there for me, but you can press down more through your arms. You have more usable range of motion. So do use it. So lengthen out. It's safe to use as well. Your brain, or not your brain, your spine has a wonderful design to stop you bending too far back or too far to the sides. It is a calculated risk that you don't have anything to prevent you bending too far forward. This is why I want you to really learn how to bend forward properly. You lengthen out the top of that breathe up in the ribs. So you move the entire spine in the last exercise. And that's why I like this one next, because it'll help you to get this bend. So you're bending back and make your next one your last. And then you're going to sit back into that rest position or roll your back, hook your knees in. I'm going to push myself up, but you're going to do that stretch. And now you can also push yourself up. And we're going to do some, it's their physio stretches really to get the upper back moving. So what I want you to do, you can do it standing up, but I'm going to do it sitting down because you can see me, basically. I'll have to change the camera position. That's not going to happen. So what I want you to do is I want to put your hands on your hips. And then you'll lift shoulders up and roll your shoulders back and down. You're just going to lift up, roll your shoulders back and down. You just lift it up, roll it back and down, and I will actually get you going the opposite direction, but not yet. So just lift it up. Just keep your hands where they are. Just so you're lifting, shoulders rolling back and down. And what? So as your shoulders come back, you bring the shoulder blades closer to the spine. So it's making all the muscles at the back there that attach to the spine do what they're meant to do, which is get longer and shorter. So do the opposite. Just keep your hands on your hips. Don't lift your hands away from your hips because you're inclined. People are then inclined just to move their shoulders and not really get the shoulder blades moving. So if you just keep your hands on your hips, you'll find it's a better movement. So you're just rolling forward. You're tightening a bit on the chest, and then you're rolling the shoulders back, and you're stretching the chest. I don't do a lot of forward because it's putting in that rounded shoulder position. But it's okay for this particular thing where you're moving the muscles around that top of your spine, your thoracic spine, which is the bit that curves out at the top and the bit where your ribs are attached. It's okay when you're doing that. But I will now finish just going the opposite direction again. Now I'd like to finish on a roll back. You're just emphasizing to your brain that you should really have your shoulders very close together and your chest stretched a bit. And you can let that relax. And I will get you to take your bands if you have them. Again, standing up. I would normally get people to do this standing up, but I'm going to do it sitting down. If you take your band and you have a single, you can take a tea towel, have it just single. Or you can do the original physio stretch, which is we mesh your hands together like this. So I just like a band. I just find I feel it more with bands, so I added it in. So you, no matter which one you do now, you lift up, you bring your hands away from your back, pull your core in so you can try and curve your back in, lift up, and then pull on the band or feel like you're trying to pull your fingers apart. And you should feel that across the front of the chest. You just lift it up and you're pulling on the band. And you should feel it right across the front of your chest. So as I say, those muscles get really tight in people. You use your core, tighten on the glute, hold the bones steady, and that'll give you a much better stretch. So nice stretch. You do it, I mean, you do it anytime during the day. I used to describe it as a 5 o'clock stretch if you're at your desk because you've been down like this and you're getting tired. So do this, sit up, bring it back and get more air in, wakes you up a bit. And I did work in an office for 37 years, so I do know what that feels like. And let it relax. And as ever, really appreciate being there. Thank you very much. And see you next week.